All right, so what's the update on AEW TV?
They filed for a trademark for Wednesday for the show called Wednesday Night Dynamite. So Wednesday's Wednesday's been the night for months, but it's not official, and it's still not official, but it's it's exceedingly likely. I'd go so far as to say 95%, if not better, that it'll be on Wednesday. Certainly, we're getting down to where they kind of have to make the call, and it's absolutely leading towards Wednesday. Could be 9 to 11, but that's again also these final decisions haven't been made, which
a perfect day to debut on deadline night for Dave.
9 to 11 Wednesday, yeah, no kidding. That's the way it goes.
So you're going to be doing shows at 4 a.m. on Wednesdays now?
I don't know what I'm going to do. I was really hoping that they would do Tuesday, but it doesn't look that way. I mean, it's really not the best day. Wednesday really is the best day, so that's what they should be doing. So it's going to be interesting to see again. Once they start doing, weekly is going to be. It's going to change everything. It's just going to be interesting to see how it happened. How it goes down, and to see if they can expand the audience, because that's the real key. Is can they expand the audience?
Well, there's also, one of the big things will be, whenever a date's decided, got to start putting tickets on sale for shows every single Wednesday. And
they're gonna have to be promoting shows every single Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll have to sell tickets every single Wednesday,
and a lot of Saturdays. Because you're gonna have at least one. I don't know if you're gonna have a big show every month. You're gonna have big shows at least every quarter, and you're gonna have some house shows for sure. Because those would be the Bleacher Report BR live shows. So they're gonna have to be selling multiple shows at the same time. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. The whole, it's fascinating what's going on there right now. It's fascinating the reaction to what's going on there right now. I've never, the one thing that I never thought, there's a lot of things, this week has been quite enlightening, and the one thing that I never thought was that, I never thought that they would be able to have that much interest in a show. Honestly. I think everybody knew that the show was going to sell out instantly, but not at this level, not at that level. I talked to some people in the ticket industry, and I don't think there are people who do. Anyone who actually pays attention does, but there's a lot of people who I don't think get it, or, and maybe some do and just, threatened by it. It's weird. It's been a really weird reaction to that 15-minute sellout with all those people trying to get tickets that were unable to, it was the highest ticket demand for any pro wrestling show in the history of the United States, and that makes no sense, but it's fact. And actually, that fact, I think that's the fact that gets people so mad, or weird. I don't know if mad is the word. Weird is definitely the word. I guess that's the big surprise reaction is that's a fact, and people are weirded out by it. There's never been a show that had that many people wanting tickets right off the bat. I'm not saying that. I am saying. What am I not saying? WWE's never had that kind of a demand for a stay in history. The closest I heard from people in the ticket business was WrestleMania 20, and it wasn't that close, but they said WrestleMania 20 had the most first-day demand for tickets in history, but it wasn't close to this.
Well, one thing you got to consider, too, is when you're talking about WWE and their absolute biggest shows, which is WrestleMania, they're running those in gigantic buildings.
Yep.
And if you had a WrestleMania 20 with that demand, but, for example, everybody knew that it was actually running in a 20,000-seat building, then you probably would have gotten that demand, because with a 100,000-seat building, it's not like you really got to get on there right when tickets go on sale to make sure you even get a ticket.
Okay, but the thing is that they had more of a demand than any of these WrestleManias has ever sold.
Yeah, immediate demand. The moment they went on sale.
Immediate demand than any of these WrestleManias has ever sold in completion.
Yes.
In completion. The point is that, yes, if everyone who wanted to go to AT&T Stadium went in there, I mean, like, you got to remember, AT&T Stadium, which legitimately sold 79,800 tickets. I mean, there were still tickets being sold, like up until a week before the show. I mean, this isn't like, it's not like, I mean, they didn't have close to this on, I mean, even in completion, the whole thing. The only one that did, well, there's two actually, which were the two UFCs, the UFC in Brazil and the UFC in Toronto, which the UFC in Brazil had more of a demand than this. And the UFC in Toronto, from what I'm told, had pretty much an identical demand to this. I mean, but this was like, from what I was told, there are concerts that have bigger demand than this. But no, I mean, like two UFCs. Well, one UFC in North America was similar, and that was a stadium UFC. So that kind of throws that out. And yeah, I mean, like, there's been no pro wrestling events that have ever had this kind of a demand, and I think a lot of people, because of the sanctity of WrestleMania, you know what I mean? And also, like, it does make no sense. How does it have more demand than WrestleMania? But it happened, I mean, it's just, and people are like, it's almost like when they sold all those T-shirts, and people were just like, that can't be true. But it was true, so it's kind of...
Did anybody claim that bots were buying T-shirts?
No, I think that the T-shirts, the claim of the T-shirts were that all the people who were buying T-shirts had no idea that they were wrestling T-shirts. That was the claim. Even though they were all over at the wrestling, even though they were all worn, all over the wrestling shows. But that was the way to justify that, is that, well, yeah, these are, they're cool looking T-shirts, but the people going to the stores buying them have no idea that they're pro wrestling T-shirts.
Huh.
So it doesn't count.
About that.
Yeah. This one was, what was it? Bots and all this, except then when I got the number, okay, so the number, when you cut out all those the bots and the scalpers and everything, was 62,500 unique units. And granted, some people probably use multiple devices. But if you think about it, anyone who signed up and got a number over 10,000, I mean, at that point, you're not getting tickets, right? So why would you then I got to open up 6 more devices?
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe they opened up those devices when they still had number 600.
If they did,
I think it's pretty clear that it was a huge demand for the show. I think it's obvious that some people did try multiple devices. And I think it's obvious that some people in a party of 3 had all 3 people trying to get tickets, knowing that whoever's going to get them first, the other 2 people could drop off. Clearly, there was some of that. But there was also a great demand. That's what we know.
Okay. Which, with Toronto... it was 35,000, and the situation would be no different because everyone knew Toronto was going to sell it instantly also. Well, I can't say knew for sure, but I pretty much expected Toronto would sell it for sure. I think this one I would have probably been, I mean, I was pretty sure Toronto was selling out instantly for the GSP and Jake Shields fight. But I was actually more sure this one would sell out instantly. You have no idea how confident someday, I can't tell it now, but someday I will tell the story of how ridiculously confident they were. But I mean, I could tell you, I mean, like, this what I could tell you is when I talked to, I remember talking to Tony Khan, and he was, I think that he gave me a number for Jacksonville of what they would sell, and they right away, and they beat it slightly. And he basically said, we're not going to sell it right away, but with the walk-up at the end, we'll be sold out. And it remains to be seen if they will be. But they're whatever it is, 700 tickets shy of a sellout. They got a month to go. So probably will be. But it's, it probably will be. That's not that many tickets to sell in a month. But he said Chicago's going immediately. And this was a long time ago. I mean, I think he told me that, when did he tell me that? Before, I mean, obviously it was before it was way before the Jacksonville tickets went on sale. So they were real confident on this one. But I mean, part of it is they also booked an arena that they knew were going to sell out, and they also did have lower ticket prices. I mean, that is one thing that you can say, is that the ticket prices were, when your low ticket price is $30 and the lowest ticket price on the secondary market is $133, the last time I checked, which was a couple days ago, that kind of tells you that you priced way, way, way under the demand for the market. So, and that's, I mean, that is true, but I don't know how much that, as far as difference makes goes, because, I mean, are people going to, when it comes to wrestling, it's like if you cheapen the ticket price, usually less people are going to buy, not more. Not that, like, in this case, I don't think anybody less is buying because you cheapened it. But generally, the lower the ticket price, the less people are going to buy. And I think that in this case, they probably were going to sell the same amount if they had doubled the ticket price that they did. But, I mean, we don't know that, though, because they didn't do that. And I mean, I don't know that the low ticket price was a lure, especially because it's a flying crowd. If you're flying in, and by the way, when I say about the demand, I mean, here is where the ticket price matters, okay? Because I specifically asked about the McGregor and the McGregor fight from Madison Square Garden with Eddie Alvarez. And I said, like, or McGregor and Khabib. And it's like, well, they didn't have as many people wanting tickets for either of those fights, off the bat. But when you have ticket prices as expensive as that, you're not gonna, like, if they had the AEW ticket prices, I mean, obviously, I don't know if the demand would be more, but it would be more than it was. Because you got to remember that Madison Square Garden for Eddie Alvarez and Khabib, and Eddie Alvarez and Conor McGregor and Eddie Alvarez, the average ticket price was $1,000. And this one, you had a ton of tickets at $30. So it's like it's not even in the same ballpark. But still, I mean, it's like, where did this come from? They had no television. Supposedly they have no mainstream stars, but they sure have a lot of people that, whatever it was, whatever the frenzy was, man, I don't know. I mean, because it was a lot bigger. Okay, the Vegas was a frenzy, because the MGM Grand said that, like, for Vegas, the demand was, the first day demand would be the equivalent of a huge McGregor, a huge Conor, Eagles, Madonna, Justin Bieber. I think there may have been one other. But I mean, that's pretty select company. And this was, let me see. This was, well, as far as it was 5 times that. So it's why? What happened? I mean, why would this be bigger than, any wrestling show in history? I mean, it just doesn't. It does not make sense, but there it was, and it's like funny because us talking about it, or us talking about it is, you watch, people are just going to get mad and they're going to start with all the excuses again. But there you go. I mean, the guys at MGM Grand, the guys at the ticket people. I mean, I've been talking to people all week. Everyone knows this, but people don't want to. I mean, it's like, they have the software. They understand what it means. They've all said it. So there you go.